So, my name is Victor and I'm going to talk about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I chose this country because I think that a lot of the time, or most of the time, we tend to consider culture and think about China, India, Asia, Russia, France, the UK, the United States, Canada, but we forget a lot these small nations that have a lot of things to share to the world and or have already done that. So I chose it because I read the name and I realized that I have never heard of it before. So I think that we all know where France is, but what about these little nations that are obviously part of the world and have a lot of culture to share? So an introduction. They have the flag. It's a Caribbean island, independent island. Actually, they have flag where the blue represents the sky and the ocean that surround the island. The yellow represents the joy and happiness and how kind people in this island are. The green represents the flora and the agriculture in the island, and here we can see a diamond, well, a V, which is made out of three different diamonds that represent that this nation is precious stone, a gem for the Caribbean, and well, the V because of the name, St. Vincent. So it's member of the Commonwealth. So the chief of state actually is the Queen Elizabeth II so far. But they're independent, so they have a prime minister, which is Rolf E. Gonsalves. And people commonly know him as Comrade Rolf. So this represents how close and kind people are there. So they even call their prime minister Comrade Rolf. And the currency is the East Caribbean dollar. What about the geography? So here we can see the Greater Antilles, Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and here we have the lesser ones. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines is here, especially here. The capital is Kingstown, sorry, Kingston is from Jamaica. Be careful with that, Kingstown. And it obviously has a tropical weather. How about the population? The population is 102,100 people. 72.8% is African black, 20% is mixed, 3.6 is Caribbean or Garifuna. I'm going to explain this in a few slides. 1.4 is Indian, and 4% is European. Religion. There are more than 13 different religions here, which I found that it's amazing because of the population. 70.6% is Protestant, 7.5 is Roman Catholic, 1.5 is Rastafarian. So there's a lot of diversity here. Culture. They have the 9 Mornings Festival, which is a celebration that takes place the 9 mornings before Christmas. So it probably has its roots in Roman Catholic celebrations, but still, here they go outside, they go to the beach, they dance, they sing, they have a carnival presentations. It's an amazing party over there. The tea meetings, which are moments where they gather. Obviously, they have tea, and they share. They have jokes. Maybe nowadays they have stand-up comedy. They have sketches, they have songs, they have music, they dance, they do everything there. So that obviously promotes interculturality. They have ceramic. There's a place. This is a place where there are a lot of handcrafts. So ceramic is one of the main ones, and soca, reggae, and jump up are different types of music, original music from here. Well, reggae, we all know where it comes from, but I mean from the Caribbean. And the culture itself, nowadays, young people tend to be more independent, individualistic. They seek for their economic independence. This makes them migrate to other places. So this is making families smaller. Now about the history of and how it is related to the UK. There was this native tribe called the Ziboni. They lived there This is before Christopher Columbus. So they lived there, but then they were displaced by the Arawak, which is also a tribe from Venezuela. Then the Caribs came here and displaced the Arawak. The Caribs are from South America. Christopher Columbus, uh, it was believed that he actually got to this island in 1498, but that's a myth. Nevertheless, this is important because obviously the discovery of the West Indies incredibly affected this place. And in the 17th century, Africans that became slaves, um, that had escaped from plantations or had shipwrecked, which is when the ship, when you're in a boat and it sinks, got to the islands. So the Caribs and the Africans got together, and there was this new culture born, which is the Garifuna, or commonly known as the Black Caribs. Now, the other part. There were British, French, and Dutch attempts to domain this island, but they were unsuccessful. Until in the 18th century, France got there and had the permission to establish a settlement. So you can say that it became part of France. But then in 1763, there was this Treaty of Paris, where France gave this territory to the UK. France France got there in 1779 and domained it once more. But then in 1783, the Treaty of Versailles gave full domain of the island to the UK. It was from the UK until in the 1979. It gained its independence from the UK and became a member of the Commonwealth. What about the connection to the UK? 2/3 of the Africans that were here worked on sugar plantations. In 1772-73, there was a first resistance against the UK domain. In 1795-96, there was a second resistance where the Caribs were exiled, and it wasn't up until the 30s where there were riots for representation. Native people here, the population decided that they no longer wanted to be a monarchy, so they were claiming for a representative government. In the 1969, it was a country associated to the UK, and in the 1979, it became independent, but part of the Commonwealth. Cultural exchange with the UK. Clothing, miscellaneous items, soca music, Notting Hill Carnival are elements from the Caribbean that were embraced by the UK. So here we can see a restaurant in the UK called Family Halal Butchers and Grocers. It's Afro-Caribbean foods. Here we have shrimp in the UK. That obviously shrimp is tropical, so it's you can tell that there was an influence. And here we have clothing from the festival, from the carnival. The language. But well, before language, I'm going to show to you this thing, which is called Trevoni Joycey, which is a performer, singer, that performs at the 2013 UK Soca Monarch. So this is the music. Well, obviously that's the presentation, but here's a little bit of soca music in the UK. Well, obviously we can say that it's not common from the UK, but we can realize, especially us as people from America, that it comes from the Caribbean, and we tend to recognize the tone because maybe a lot of songs that we commonly dance in clubs and stuff have some resemblance to it. So now about language. about language. There are 3 different languages spoken here. English, especially for tourists. Vincentian Creole English, which is a mixture between English and languages that were already spoken here by natives, and the French patois. We all know what patois is from Jamaica. This one is from, well, it has French influence, but about the Vincentian Creole English. Some characteristics are that the O replaces ear. So instead of saying bird, we say bud. There are long vowels like I, A, O, U. Instead of saying peas or writing it like this, it's peas. School, instead of school with double O, is with double U. There are no diphthongs. So down is dung, or, well, there are no traditional English, standard English diphthongs. There's only one nasal sound for saying ain't or can't, and the ch and the j are stronger. So instead of saying just chair, it's chair, and instead of saying judge, it's judge. It's a stronger noise. No, well, not noise, sound. So here we have some examples. I for I, na for not is, yo, your, nose, news, which is a long vowel, does, those, so this replaces the diphthong, run, for a long vowel sound, na, nod, hey, here, shoe, shoe, does, again no diphthong, and feel. So there you go, a brief example of what I could find. Now, language and politics. So English is the official language, but everyone speaks patois. Well, patois is the national language, and Creole is very, very common because they mix English or standard English with native languages from the place. This is the video if you want to see the entire song about the singer who sings soca in the UK. So conclusions. St. Vincent is a culturally and linguistically diverse nation, really diverse. You can see that it has 13 different religions or even more. It doesn't have a big population, but still tourism and everything makes them really diverse. A really warm people. It's still currently related to the UK because it's a member of the Commonwealth. Indeed, the island had a problem with hurricanes and a lot of monsoons and rains a few years ago, and the UK sent help. It has a lot of tourism, and the cultural exchange is huge from the Caribbean to the UK. Maybe, well, I didn't believe that there was a lot, but you can see that there's a festival, there's music, food, clothing, miscellaneous. So yeah, it has a lot of things to share to the world. And finally, here we have the bibliography. If you want to see, this is a really good web page that, well, the logo stay there, but the CIA World Fact Book and a lot of other stuff. So I hope you like this presentation.